This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome to Chapter 1 of our series, Mastering Stoic Decisions. In today's episode, titled Introduction to Stoic Philosophy, we'll explore the fascinating origins of Stoic thought and how it can shape our decision-making today. So, let's dive in. Men are disturbed not by things, but by their judgments about things. A Roman slave said that nearly 2,000 years ago. Now, modern therapy quietly runs on that idea. So here's the real puzzle. If your thoughts shape your world, who's actually in charge? Stoicism's answer is disarmingly simple. You're in charge of less than you think, and that's exactly where your power starts. This school of philosophy, born in noisy Greek marketplaces and later adopted in Roman war tents and senate halls, claimed that a good life doesn't depend on fortune, status, or even health, but on how you use your mind in the middle of all that chaos. Instead of promising serenity in a cave, Stoics practiced in the mess of real life: lawsuits, invasions, plagues, political backstabbing. They treated each setback like a craftsman treats raw material, asking, "What can I build with this?" Leaders, soldiers, and merchants turned to Stoic ideas not to escape pressure, but to operate clearly inside it. In this series, we'll follow them, not as museum pieces, but as mentors, for making decisions when the stakes are actually high. Before we dive into techniques, we need a map. The early Stoics sketched one, but their books vanished. What survives are echoes, later philosophers summarizing their ideas, Roman statesmen adapting them for courtrooms and battlefields, an emperor scribbling reminders to himself in Greek between military reports. That means we don't inherit a tidy manual, we inherit field notes. In this series, we'll treat those notes like a traveler's log through rough terrain, not a GPS, but a set of landmarks, shortcuts, and warnings for navigating pressure, conflict, and uncertainty today. If Stoic writings are a traveler's log, the first landmark they point to is a brutally clarifying distinction. At any moment, your situation splits into two piles: what depends on you and what doesn't. Not what you wish depended on you or what you can slightly influence, but what is genuinely yours to command. The Stoics called this the core of practical wisdom. It's less mystical than it sounds and more uncomfortable. Your opinions, choices, values, and deliberate actions are in your hands. Your reputation, outcomes, other people's behavior, and most of your body's fate are not. This isn't a motivational slogan. It's an operating system for decisions. Notice what happens when you quietly test this in a tense moment. You're in a meeting, your idea gets dismissed, and your mind sprints ahead. They never listen. This will ruin the project. I'm stuck under incompetent leadership. Stoic training would pause the rush and sort. Your reaction, your next sentence, your standard of professionalism, these are in pile 1. Their tone, their past decisions, the final verdict, pile 2. That sorting makes space for the 4 virtues to do real work. Without wisdom, the piles blur. Without courage, you avoid acting even when you see a clear next step. Without justice, your choices orbit around ego instead of fairness. Without temperance, you overshoot, speaking too harshly or not at all. Consider Marcus Aurelius writing between battles. He couldn't dictate plagues, enemy movements, or palace intrigues, but he could govern how he treated subordinates, handled power, and responded to fear. His notes show a man repeatedly dragging attention back to what was his to steer. This is where Stoicism quietly diverges from passivity. Once you've sorted the 2 piles, you're obligated to act well within yours. The modern twist is that our environment constantly tempts us to reverse this. Metrics, likes, quarterly numbers, and public narratives shout louder than our own deliberate choices. Training a Stoic mindset means recentering authority. Decisions are evaluated first by whether they align with virtue, only second by whether they worked. Like a hiker learning to read trail markers instead of chasing every distant noise in the forest, you start to navigate by a few stable points. Is this under my control? Which virtue applies here? What's the next right move, even if no one sees it? That quiet sequence is the foundation for all the later techniques we'll build. Think of a crowded weekday, delayed train, overflowing inbox, a tense message from a client. On autopilot, each event feels like a verdict on your competence or worth. Through a Stoic lens, they become mini labs for testing where your real authority lies. Say a colleague takes credit for your work in a meeting. One response is silent resentment and late-night replaying of every detail. Another is a quick internal scan. What's mine here? You might calmly clarify your contribution next time, document your work more clearly, or decide this environment clashes with your standards and start planning an exit. The external story barely shifts. The internal posture changes completely. Or you're offered a promotion with vague expectations and shiny perks. Instead of asking only, "What will this do for me?" you ask, "What will this role pull out of me? Will it stretch wisdom, justice, courage, temperance, or erode them?" Each choice becomes less big win or big loss and more training or corrosion. Stoic habits could quietly reshape how we design our days. Instead of using calendars only for tasks, people might block time for brief assent checks before key choices, like a pilot's pre-flight review. Over time, families, teams, even cities could adopt shared pause rituals: a breath, a question about control, a quick virtue scan. Like gardeners pruning not just for today's bloom, but next season's health, we'd structure meetings, apps, and schools to protect this small inner decision space. Treat this first distinction like learning a new instrument. At first, every attempt is clumsy, but over time, your ear sharpens. As you keep sorting experience into mine and not mine, you may notice a subtler shift: less background noise, clearer signal. Next episode, we'll zoom in on that brief gap where reactions can still be rewritten. Here's your challenge this week. Choose one daily annoyance, like a commute delay, a difficult coworker, or household mess, and every time it happens, pause and say out loud, "Is this in my control or not?" Then, for 3 days, spend exactly 2 minutes each evening reviewing one event. List what was in your control, your judgment, words, actions, and what wasn't: other people, weather, timing. And choose one specific response you'll handle differently tomorrow. For bonus points, start each morning by reading one short Stoic quote, for example from Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus, and decide in a single sentence how you'll apply it to that same recurring annoyance. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!